Hi, today's video is going to be about blocking DHCP on a logical switch. So the use case is you have your DHCP server sitting in the network, which is doing DHCP, and another DHCP server, a rogue one, is created within the network. Typically, this is something you don't want. So I'm going to tell you today how you can disable or how you can make sure that all other DHCP servers are blocked and only specific DHCP servers are actually working using the NSX Distributed Firewall. Now, this drawing here is the exact test scenario that I have for you. So we will have a logical switch with two DHCP servers on it and a DHCP client. This DHCP server will have a different scope than the second one. You can see that the IP addresses are ending with 100 here, and the IP addresses should end with 200 here. Initially, this is the .10 and this is the .20 from the 172.16.11.0/24 network, and this client doesn't have a IP address yet because it should get it from either one of those DHCP servers. We will treat the second one as the rogue one, but we can do some tests and also block this one. Now let's start. I've created a DHCP server, another DHCP server, so you can see the 1 here and the 2 here, and the client is the number 3 here. So you can see the scope here, and you can see my address pool. Same scope, different address pool, and my client. If you look at the address leases, there's nothing given out here, and here there's also nothing given out. So let's start off with this client here, and I can do an IP config, and you can see that there's no IP address here, or well, no real IP address from given out by the DHCP server. So let's do an IP config /renew. Oh, made a mistake here. Renew. There you go. Now you can see that the DHCP address is given out by the first DHCP server. Now let's see if the scope or the address list, yeah, you can see it here. So this is good, right? So let's do a release and deactivate this scope here. Deactivate, yes, and make sure this one is still activated. So now if we do a renew, it should get an IP address from the different DHCP server, right? Let's see if that's the case. And this is indeed the case. So an IP address ending with 200. Let's look on the DHCP server, and indeed the address lease is listed here. Now let's flip it back. So let's do a release here again. And let's see if it's gone. It's gone. Let's deactivate this one and activate this one again. So we have one deactivated, or number 2 is deactivated, and number 1 is activated again. And now let's do another renew. So you can see that this is still working, right? Now let's do a release. And let's activate the second DHCP scope again. Now we're back at having 2 DHCP servers actually working. Now what I'm going to show you is how to make sure, let's go back to the drawing, how to make sure that only one of these DHCP servers can give out IP addresses to this client. Normally, from a default perspective, if you go to firewall, you will see that the following rules are default. Well, typically the last one will maybe an allow rule, but right now it's block because that's how it should be, right? And you will have a default rule DHCP where a DHCP server and a DHCP client service is specified, and this is actually allowed. And this is allowed for the distributed firewall for all of the clusters. And this is how it typically would work, right? What I've done is, in order to make sure that you are able to block one of these two, is I've created an additional service. So you can see that I've created a UDP source 67. And what you will see is that this service exists out of a protocol UDP, but also a source port, which is 67. The default services that are created, the DHCP server, has a destination port, 67. So the default services are actually configured here for destination ports. Destination port 68 for the client and destination port 67 for the server. And I have created a 67 for the source. So that's the difference. Now I've specified this. The way I've done this, let me both activate these two rules here. I call the first rule allow specific DHCP, and I've specified only the DHCP server that's allowed to talk DHCP on the network, and I've specified that to any and my self-created service, and I've applied these rules only on the logical switches where all of these three machines are on. That action is allow, and then underneath I have done a deny DHCP, where I basically do an any with the same UDP source 67 on the same logical switch, but I'm doing a block. So the rest of the DHCP servers are not allowed to reply back to the client. That's basically, well, how it is. Now let's publish the rules. Publish the rules, and you can see right now I have specified DHCP server 01. So the last IP address that I got was from 1. And let's see if both DHCP servers are activated. And they are. So let's do a renew. And now it should get an IP address from the first DHCP server. And that works. So let's do a release. And deactivate this DHCP server here. And let's see if this one is still activated. Yes, it is. Let's do a renew. And let's wait. This should not work, right? Now we can see that we have received an error. The client is unable to contact any DHCP server. That's because this one is deactivated, and it's the only one that is allowed to talk to, or it's the only one that is allowed to reply back. And this one is activated, but it cannot retrieve an IP address from this DHCP server. So let's change the rule now. Let's change the rule, this one, or let's first activate this DHCP server again. So we know it's alive, right? This one is still activated. This one still doesn't have any good IP address. Now let's see, activated, and let's change this rule. So let's change this rule to DHCP server 2, right? Let's change it. And remove 1. No, remove the wrong one. DHCP server 2. There you go. Save. Check again. And hit publish. Now it should get an IP address from the second DHCP server, right? Well, let's check. And there you go, ending with 200. So let me see, leases, there you go. So let's, to make the circle round, do a release again. To release it, it's gone here. Let's deactivate the scope. The scope is now deactivated. This one is still activated. So let's renew. And you can see that it cannot reach the DHCP server again. And this while the DHCP 1 is activated and up. So this concludes the end of my video and my demo. And thank you for watching.